Hello, everyone. My name is Mina Black, and welcome to Total Alignment Charitable's Raising Money Smart Kids. We are excited to have you here. Again, my name is Mina Black. I am one of the co-executive directors here at Total Alignment Charitable. Today, we're going to spend a few minutes talking a little bit about how to raise money smart kids. I'm excited to have you here. My colleague, Christina Masley, will be joining us shortly to discuss how to raise money smart kids. We're going to go ahead and kick it off and share a little bit about the organization, about the work we do here, and then we're going to dive right into what we need to know to actually help our children and our dependents become money smart. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. So let me know when you can and when you can see my screen. If you are unable to see it, please let me know. Give me 1 second. Let's see. Let's go ahead and do that. All right. I will share a little bit about the organization. All right. Hopefully you can see my screen there. Let's go to presenter view. All right. Hopefully you can see that. You can see that. So again, my name is Mina Annan Black. I am one of the co-executive directors here at Total Alignment Charitable, and I'm excited to have you here this evening. We are going to spend a little bit of time talking about how to raise money smart kids, but specifically practical tools and some resources that you can use to teach your children, to teach your dependents, and anyone that you think could use the information about how to essentially be responsible with money and how to create healthy money habits, kids. Excuse me, healthy money habits. So again, I'm with the organization Total Alignment Charitable. If you are unfamiliar with Total Alignment Charitable, I'll give you a little background information about who we are. As we go through this, we do these workshops for anyone that is interested. We are a nonprofit. If you have any questions, just a little bit of housekeeping. If you have any questions, please feel free to put your questions into the chat window, or toward the end, we'll leave a little time for you to ask questions. But you can our webinars are really interactive, and you can go ahead and ask questions as we proceed and as we go through the webinar. So if anything comes up that's on your mind, please feel free to go ahead and ask. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. And I'm going to share a little bit about our organization. So our organization is called Total Alignment Charitable. What we do is, as I mentioned, we are a nonprofit. What we do is we are hopefully trying to create a future where every individual is equipped with the knowledge and tools necessary to make informed financial decisions and achieve financial stability and independence. So how do we do that? Well, our goal is to empower low-income individuals and anyone that may have limited financial resources, and equip them with each person with financial management skills by delivering financial plans, financial coaching, and workshops absolutely free of charge. We've been around since 2014. And myself and my co-executive director, we took over 2 years ago to really help the organization get to the next level in terms of just brand awareness, and also help reach a lot more people. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to share a little bit about some of the services we offer. So, as I mentioned, we do financial planning, but we also do workshops and webinar facilitation, similar to what you see now. We do both in-person and virtual financial wellness workshops and webinars. We partner with other organizations, other nonprofits, to provide workshops and on various topics, everything from basic money management to estate planning, to topics such as investing 101, to help individuals learn how to not only just manage and save, but also how to grow your wealth, which is one of my favorite topics to talk about. We also have office hours. We do virtual one-on-one financial coaching, which are essentially 30-minute sessions whereby anyone can join. And with over the course of 30 minutes, it's completely confidential. You and a planner will go into a virtual room, and for 30 minutes, we will work with you to discuss whatever financial topic that you may be, what a financial concern, financial question you may have, for 30 minutes, and just share a little bit about what you may want to consider doing to improve and work on your finances. One of our biggest services we do offer is the one-on-one financial planning engagements. Now, so if you're unfamiliar with financial planning, a financial plan is essentially a roadmap to help you get from point A to point B. And what we do is we connect you to our volunteer certified financial planners who most of them have an average of over 10 years of experience working with individuals. Me, myself, I've been doing this for almost 20 years. Actually, this is my 20-year anniversary. And what we do is we work with our any client that comes through our process over the course of 2 months to help you create a free financial plan. And then lastly, we do clinics with our partner events, whereby we do 15-minute sessions in person at our partner events, whereby we talk and give financial insight into a particular topic that may be of interest and answer any questions people may have. So let's go right to the topic at hand today, which is how to raise money smart kids. So please let me know if you do not see my slides moving. I'll make sure to go ahead and make adjustments as necessary. So one of the things I think most of us probably realize is that we do not, most of us did not grow up with a silver spoon in our mouth. So unfortunately, a lot of the financial lessons that we were taught were almost ad hoc and are things that we picked up along the way. That being said, what money lesson do you wish you had learned earlier? I think for some of us, we may have wished that we had learned how to save more. We may wish that learn a little bit about how to avoid debt, or even not just avoid debt, but mainly for some of us, it's minimize debt. We may have wished we had started investing sooner. This is a big one for me. I wish I had learned about investing much at a much younger age so that I could have started much earlier. We may have wish that we had learned a little bit more about how to manage credit and how to essentially build our credit so that we can actually leverage credit to grow our wealth. We may have wished that we had actually learned how to speak about money without fear. So I think for some of us, one of the biggest challenges that we have when it comes to money is that there are certain lessons that we wish we had learned growing up that unfortunately we did not learn, and we unfortunately learned some of these lessons the hard way. I will be the first to tell you I learned some of these lessons the hard way, but our goal right now is to make sure that our children don't have to learn these lessons the hard way. Our goal is to teach our kids and our dependents and some of the younger generation how to understand money and what they need to know, most importantly, about how to manage their money so that they can actually make their money last, and most importantly, grow their money. All right. So today we're going to share some tips, some resources that you can use to actually have these conversations and to make these conversations a little easier. All right. So that being said, let's go ahead and talk about something I think most of us tend to miss when it comes to money, which is money is just a tool. If you are unfamiliar with Mellody Hobson is the CEO of an organization, an investment firm called Ariel Investments. She is actually recently wrote a book called Priceless Facts About Money. It's a fantastic read for not just kids, but also for young adults, and for young adults, and even for some people that are a little older, my age and my age group, because this book really shows you some things that you probably did not learn about money, and is a great way to actually spark conversations that we can have with our kids about money. Mellody, you may know her as the CEO of Ariel Investments. She's also married to George Lucas, the creator of the Star Wars franchise. But one of the things, if you get a chance, there's a podcast episode with Mellody and her, where she talks to Oprah. And one of the things she talks about is how she and her husband, George, have, even with all their immense wealth, they even had to think about how to really have conversations with their children, with their daughter in particular, about money. And that's what was the impetus for her writing this book. Because she realized that while she may be a great investor and she may know how to have conversations with other adults and other grown-ups about how they should manage their money, the challenge really came into play when she actually had to not only have the conversations with their daughter about money, but also how to ensure that some of those, she imbibed the lessons that she was trying to teach her. So one of the things that she writes about in the Priceless Facts about money is that money is not good, it's not bad, it's just simply a tool. And one of the things that we like to say, and I love to say when I teach these lessons and when I teach any course about money, is that when it comes to money, one of the biggest things that often leads to our downfall when it comes to money is we often ascribe emotions to money, right? We often have very strong emotions about money. And remember, if you take nothing else from today's session, it is remember that whatever you're doing, whether it's trying to determine how to budget or teach your kids about budget and teach your kids about money, try to remove the emotions out of it. And I know it's easier said than done, but if you can, remove the emotions out of how you talk about money, remove the emotions about how you feel about money. And oftentimes, how we feel and how we deal with money nowadays has a lot to do with how we were raised in terms of how money was introduced to us growing up, whether it was direct or indirect, whether it was through our parents or other relatives. But oftentimes, we ascribe a certain emotion to money, whether it is money is bad, money is bad, and only evil people have a lot of money. But the goal here is to understand that money is literally just simply a tool, and like any tool, it can be used wisely or poorly. It can be something that can be used for good, or it can be used for bad. What we want children to learn is we want them to be confident, feel confident about money. We want them to be responsible about how they use money. We want them to essentially really think about how to make sound decisions about how to use money. And most importantly, we want them to become independent so that as they get older and as they continue to grow, that they do not end up having to rely on another person, whether it be us, whether it's another relative, whether it's their partner for money in the future. The goal here is to raise children who understand money, not children who fear money. And unfortunately, I can tell you from experience and working with clients from at all income levels, my background is as a wealth advisor from Merrill Lynch. I will tell you that this raising children to not fear money and to raise children with to be responsible with money. This is something that I've encountered working with clients that have almost billionaires. They have the same challenges trying to teach your kids about money and with clients with less money. So just keep that in mind that you are not alone, and it's not something that only people without lots of immense wealth have issues with. Those with immense wealth also have challenges with it as well. So something to be mindful of is that remember, our goal here is to teach our children not to be fearful of about money. All right. That being said, I want to take a few minutes just to talk a little bit and give a little short history of money. Within the book Priceless Facts About Money, Melody does give some historical facts about money. But I want to also point out there is another book that if you are interested in about money at all, in terms of like just the evolution of money and how money has evolved over time. There's another fantastic book called Layered Money. It's actually one of my favorite books. And it literally talks about the evolution of money, the historical beginnings of money, all the way through even cryptocurrency and how cryptocurrency plays into the evolution of money. So one of the things within that book that it talks about just the um, the bartering, and we're going to talk a few minutes about how bartering essentially played a role in the early financial transactions, right? So money hasn't always been coins and bills, and this is something that's also covered in the book. Layered money, which is money hasn't always been coins and bills. It used to be money could be any tool, any mechanism. It's just an agreed upon tool for exchange. So if you may or may not know, but over 4.5 billion years ago, meteorites created the first mineral deposits. And as a result, when the meteorites actually hit over 4 million years ago, they actually, scientists believe that after the Earth's crust had cooled, our planet was hit with a massive shower of asteroids and meteorites in what was called the late heavy bombardment. And as a result, these meteorites actually were packed with precious metals such as gold, iron, platinum. And so the gold and silver that humans have used for money for thousands of years literally came from outer space, essentially. And if you go and if you know anything about mining and minerals, you may have wondered to yourself, okay, where did these minerals come from? And scientists believe that they actually did come from the asteroid and meteorite showers known as the late heavy bombardment, right? The ancient Mayas used to use a different currency, which was chocolate as currency, believe it or not, the cocoa bean. I would say cocoa bean, considering where I'm from, but that's how the ancient Maya, later the Aztecs, also used chocolate as a currency. It used to be that you could use shells, salt, and livestock. Livestock was a big one. The challenge with some of these other mediums of currency was imagine having to trade and using livestock for hundreds of cows as a mechanism for trade as a currency. You'd have to keep a pretty extensive inventory of livestock. You have to keep a lot of livestock in order to make the exchanges meaningful, and most importantly, to be able to continue to trade, right? But remember, any of these things could have been used were used as a tool for, as a tool for exchange, were used as money. So you can imagine that at some point, though, it became untenable to use things like livestock as as a medium of money. So hence why coins and bills came into play, right? Ancient civilizations, they traded goods before coins, but the goods that they traded again at some point became untenable. So what did they do in the past? What they do is they tried to do some bartering, right? Before money existed, people bartered. They trade goods and services directly. So a farmer wants to trade 10 apples for a pair of shoes. Great. But at some point, the double coincidence of wants led to the invention of money because at some point, what if the shoemaker doesn't want apples? What if they want something else and you don't have apples? Well, all you have is apples to give them, right? So money solves the problem and it makes trading easier for everyone. This is where the coins, such coins and dollar bills, came into play. So if your kids ask you, okay, help me understand where money came from, I would honestly recommend the Priceless Facts About Money book as a good resource, but also you yourself, I would highly recommend reading Layered Money as a so that you can familiarize yourself with the history of exchange and the history of bartering and exchange all the way through, as I mentioned, cryptocurrency and how money and currency, money and bartering and the exchange of money has changed over the course of history, right? So that being said, a lot of us have different terminologies and different phrases for money in our household, right? Money in a household. So, what do you call your money? Do you call it bacon? Some people call it bacon. Some people call it bread. Some people call it moolah. Some people call it greenbacks, cheddar, dough, smackaroonies, smackaroons, loot, bucks. Why so many nicknames? Because money is part of everyday life and life, like money, whether or not it's we want to acknowledge it or not, money has its place in our ecosystem, and therefore it behooves us to not only understand it ourselves as the adults, as the grown-ups, but it also behooves us to actually teach our kids and teach our loved ones about money and make sure that they understand it as well, right? So understanding money language helps you feel confident about it, helps you understand feel confident about it, and helps you really understand how what roles money can play. And I honestly believe that when you're able to use some nicknames for money, it makes it also a little bit fun to have these conversations with your loved ones, your children, about money. It makes it less intimidating for kids, right? If you call it bacon or whatever, or even cheddar or whatever, it makes it, you can do a fun food game with the kids about money and how you teach the kids about money. So, one of the things that I think most people don't realize is that just the hidden symbols and values when it comes to money. A really great and fun exercise is if you can pull out a dollar bill or any unit of the bills that you have in your pocket, and actually sit there with your children and actually evaluate and study that particular bill, because you'll find that there is the all-seeing eye, the pyramid that's on the dollar bill, the tiny micro printing that's nearly impossible to see. There's just so many different parts of the actual bill that I think most of us don't really pay attention. We go to the ATM, we take out that currency, that dollar, that $20, that $50, that $100, right? But how often? When was the last time you actually looked at it, right? Back in 2000, I want to say four, this $50, I think 2004, 2004, I believe, the $50 bill was updated and the currency was updated, and you see the updated bill right there, right? But the color shifted ink on higher denominations was introduced not too long ago, right? Security threads that glow under UV light. All of this is so that it makes it very hard to counterfeit. But I do find such a fascinating activity, afternoon activity, or even just an activity you can do with your kids one day is just take out a bill and help them understand not only what it is that they're looking at in terms of what the unit is, but also they can actually make it a game and actually find all the unique um, features of each bill, right? Including the serial numbers, the signatures on it, right? Who is actually on each particular bill, right? I think some of these can be fantastic ways to teach our kids about money. And every bill in your wallet is a piece of carefully designed history. And it's a really fun activity to do with your kids and your the kids and dependents and anyone that you think would be interested in learning a little bit about money. So let's play bank. Most, I will say I will be one of the people that will I admit that it wasn't until I was an adult, much older, that I actually learned how banking works. So if you do not know how banking works, do not be ashamed, do not feel embarrassed. This is something that we're not taught in school. So unless you go out of your way to seek out some of this knowledge, there is just no way for you to actually know, right? There is actually no way for you to know. So let's talk about how banks work, right? Banks are not just places that you go and put your money, you store your money. They put your money to work, right? The way it works is it's deposit and loans. When you deposit your money at the bank lends it to other people. So you're not, if I put a dollar into the bank, I'm not getting that exact dollar back, right? The bank lends that dollar to somebody else, and then the bank pays me interest for that. Unfortunately, that interest is not that much nowadays, but that's okay. That's okay, right? They do pay you a little bit of interest for you allowing them to lend your money to them so that they can lend it to other people, right? Within that ecosystem of banks, obviously there's ATM, automated teller machines, where they were invented in 1967, and now there are over 3 million uh, ATMs worldwide. Nowadays, um, there aren't there are people use ATMs, but not as much as they did before digital banking came into play. So just something for us to be mindful of, that while the ATMs are still around, I'm curious to see what happens within the next 5 to 10 years as we move closer and closer to being more so of a cashless society. The role ATMs will play as we move closer to being a cashless society. And then with banks, you can borrow money from the bank. You borrow money with a promise to pay it back plus interest. You can, depending on where you bank and depending on your qualifications, part of this exercise of teaching our kids about money and banks is, hey, not only can you put money into the bank, depending on your bank, you can actually borrow money from the bank. They'll lend you money to do whatever it is that you need to do. Maybe you need to borrow money to start a business, right? Maybe you need to borrow money to do home renovations, or buy a car, right? A bank will lend you money, and of course you have to pay back the money with interest, right? Now, the origins of the banking trace all the way back to ancient Mesopotamia, around 2000 BC. That being said, again, going back to the recommended book, Layered Money, it also addresses the origins of banks within that book. So it's a fantastic read if you're looking for a little late night reading that will give you kind of a historical view of the origins of money. Now, I understand how banks work and operate, gives you power over your financial future. That being said, there's so many different types of banks. So when you are talking to your kids and you're teaching your kids about banks, one thing you can do to really make sure that the message stays with them and they actually really take in the message is that you can actually take them with you to a bank and to open up a bank account help them open up a bank account. If you have a piggy bank of some sort, or if you've been setting aside, coins here and there for them, then you can actually take them to the bank and let them go through the process of setting up a bank account, right? Obviously, the bank has to offer that type of account because they're minors and they can't open up a bank account on their own. You, as their guardian, if you're the guardian, have to go ahead and obviously open the account and be the custodian on the account. But depending on the bank, they will let the young person actually go through the process and so that they understand what it takes to actually set up a bank account, and also make sure that they actually you deposit even like $1 or something into the bank account so that they see how the entire process works. Right. Now, why does financial literacy or financial wellness matter in terms of how we teach kids? Many money habits begin forming in childhood. Children's learn from a number of ways, and as I have two children of my own, they learn from what we say, what we do, or what we don't do, what they observe, right? This is how they learn. So if we're able to actually teach them through our actions and show them how money plays a role in our everyday lives, they will see how we spend. They will see and understand how we save. They will learn to, we can also teach them how to react to financial stress, right? And they will listen and hear us. If we constantly say money is bad, oh, I'm broke, oh, I can't afford that, that messaging, believe it or not, starts getting gets ingrained in the child's mind. So they sometimes, dependent on the message, i.e., money's bad, we're broke, we don't have it, but things like that, it can lead to the child developing or the person developing a sense of money as a scarcity mindset when it comes to money. And ideally, we are able to essentially change that so that our conversations that we have with our children may be not that, okay, I can't afford that. It's okay, you know what? I understand we want to get this. So let's think about how we can afford it. We can't afford it yet, but let's think about how we can afford it. That way, if it's something that you think is worthwhile, it's worthwhile for the child to have, then it makes it a almost like a fun exercise for you two to work together to figure out how you can make the money to afford whatever it is that they're asking for, right? Obviously, we're not saying go out and give your child everything they ask for. However, there is obviously certain things that they may ask for that you're like, oh, you know what, it would be nice to give them that thing that they're asking for. So let's work together and figure out how we can afford whatever it is that they're asking for. I do it within my family. My child will say, "Hey, I want this," and it's okay. Okay, let's figure out how can we afford it. So how can we make the money so that you can actually have this thing, or if it's something like a big thing that costs a lot of money, okay, um, I want you to really think about, okay, what can you do to earn money? Now, my kids are young; they're 11 and 7. What can you do to earn money so that I earn half of the money so that I will contribute the other half, and then you can have this item that you're asking for. So children do learn from our behaviors more than they learn from our lectures. So if you can, really be mindful of the way you talk about money and how money is spoken about in your household, right? So the four money skills every single child needs to know is they need to understand earning, understand where money comes from, how to actually generate money, where money. Obviously, there's a saying, the saying, the money does not grow on trees. Kids need to know that that statement is absolutely that phrase is absolutely accurate. Where does money? It doesn't just come out of thin air. Where does money come from? Is it from jobs, from small business, right? Is it from interest, from dividends, right? Children need to understand that they need money. Children need to know how to save for future goals. There is something to be said for making sure that the child understands that they need to be patient when it comes to setting whatever goals that they may be trying to achieve, and that includes things that they want and they need to save money for, right? They need to understand how to make thoughtful decisions when it comes to spending. If I think for most children, if you give them $10, $100, whatever amount of money or whatever's in their piggy bank, and they decide they would spend it in a heartbeat. They would spend the money right away. The goal here is to help them understand that, be mindful, like, okay, you know what? You have $100 in your piggy bank from all your savings. I want you to understand that you should spend a little bit of it. Maybe you spend $25 of it, right? And the other $75 you save. Or if it's a big holiday, maybe they spend the 75 and they keep 25%. But the goal here is to help them understand that they need to be thoughtful about how they spend the money that they do have, and they need to be thoughtful about how they spend all any money that comes their way, right? And then last but not least, they need to understand and learn how to invest. As I mentioned earlier, this is one of the skill sets I wish I had learned when I was much younger, which is how to invest. Building wealth over time is a concept that most people and most adults don't even understand, and most adults don't even understand. So if you're able to understand it, and most importantly, teach your children. I'm a big firm believer in, I don't like this phrase, generational wealth, but I do understand that generational wealth is something for me and for many of us. Generational wealth, I will say, is not about the actual assets per se, but the actual knowledge that we're able to transfer to our kids so that they know they can always make money. They understand how money works, and they understand how to earn money, how to save money, how to spend money, how to invest money, right? So if you can teach your children these four money skills so that they can actually learn how and take this with them for the rest of their lives, because money is not going away, right? So why don't you learn it enough about it and also teach your kids as much as possible, right? And then I want to real quick. I'm going to kick off the conversation regarding, okay, so now that you know a little bit the history about money, now that you know a little bit about the foundation about some of the skills that when it comes to money, kids should have. What do we do at the various age groups? Let's start with ages 3 to 5, which is this really where we're building this foundation. This is the toddler to preschool, toddler and preschool, maybe kindergarten age, right? Our goal here is just to teach them some of the basics. Okay, how to count money, how to what's the difference between a want, right? Okay, mommy, can I have this toy? Or daddy, can I have this toy? All right, or I can I have this toy versus a need, right? Okay, the needs are for grown-ups is the housing, the housing, groceries, things like that, right? Okay, make sure that they have um, the school supplies, right? That's a need, right? So make sure they understand the difference between a want and need. Making sure teaching them the importance of patience. Again, go back to the conversation we were having about saving and waiting for the outcome that we want, right? We want to teach them they need to wait before they buy. And this is a skill that you can actually teach them when you are at a store. If with that child and the child says, okay, mommy, can I have this? Or daddy, can I have this? Or so-and-so, can I have this? When they said to their grown up, can I have this particular item? A good thing, a good skill set you can teach them is okay, I want you to think about this. You really want this. I want you to think about this in 24 to 48 hours. We'll have another conversation. And if you still want it and you absolutely want it, okay, how much does it cost? And are you willing to take money out of your piggy bank or whatever, or your forego a particular gift so that you can have this particular item? Because that really will teach the kids patience and the importance of really prioritizing what they value, right? So you can play store with the kids. There are wonderful cash registers. I remember when our daughters were younger, we actually got them. We have I think we have three cash register toys. One of them was like Dora the Explorer, talking cash register. So there are lots of different ways for them to teach them uh, how to actually understand the concept of money. You can also teach them how to save for a small toy that they may be interested in, right? You can also, when you go to go buy something, instead of paying with a card, take out the actual bills and help them understand, okay, they maybe you don't give them all the money, but you give them one of the bills so they can actually practice handing it to the cashier and understanding, okay, what happens during that exchange when they give that money back and they give you change so that the child understands. Um, so that they understand that this is what the process entails. So every financial decision starts with priorities. This is one of the key lessons you can teach your kids at this age. Every financial decision starts with understanding, okay, what do I need to do now versus what do I need to do later? All right. The next age group it is the ages 6 to 9. These are the individuals. Three things you can do with money. You can teach kids to spend it, save it, or share it, right? And the activities ask if you receive $20 today, how would you divide it? How would you divide that money? Every dollar has a purpose, and the goal here is to help them understand that whenever money comes in, they can either spend it, they can save it, they can share it, right? And I want ideally they can essentially at least two, if not three, at any given moment. So when they get a gift from their grandparents, a gift from their relatives, or they earn money from babysitting, they earn money from a lemonade stand, right? You can teach them hey, a percentage of this money can be spent on whatever they want, but a percentage of it needs to be saved, right? And if they want, they can also donate a percentage to a good cause that they believe in. Okay. But the goal is for them to essentially learn division and learn how to prioritize and divide the what's coming in so that every dollar not only has a purpose, but every dollar has a home. All right. I'm going to go ahead and pause here and I'm going to bring on my colleague, my coworker, Christina, and she is going to talk to us a little bit about, she's going to talk to us a little bit about just the different age groups and how money plays into the different age groups. Christina?
Yes, thank you so much, Mina. Can you guys hear me? Can
Yeah.
you guys see me now?
Yes, we can see you. We
Can
can
you
see
see the
you.
presentation?
Can see the presentation.
Is it in presentation mode?
Nope, you're good. We see your slides.
All right, awesome. So, hi, everybody. Thanks so much, Mina. I hope you're learning a bunch about teaching your kids about money and how best to speak to them. A lot of useful information. And so, I'm actually going to just start off with ages 10 through 13 and continue along that path that Mina was talking about, how you can actually go about teaching your kids about money. So, if your kids are between 10 and 13, one of the things that we're highlighting is that you want to focus on something called opportunity cost. And so this is really important because it not only teaches your children about delayed gratification, but it also lets them know and informs them that if you're spending your money in one area, that means you're foregoing spending it in another area and or saving it and or investing it. So essentially, whatever choice you make, there's another choice that you cannot make, right? So the example that we have is, for instance, if the child has $25 and they have two options, and this is how you as parents should present it to them. You have option A, you have option B. You really want that video game, and then you also mentioned that you want a bicycle. So do you want to spend the entire $25 now and get the video game, or do you want to save up toward this mongoose bicycle that you want? Right? So these are ways that you can present it. There's not a right or wrong answer, but there's a cost. So you get the game now, right? That's immediate gratification. So you will be teaching your child that you have the opportunity to get the game, but that bicycle, it costs a little bit more than the game, and it requires you to save a little bit more. So, what about in terms of becoming smart consumers? You want to, at this age, be able to potentially teach them how to read a receipt. And it's so interesting because a lot of charges that parents spend are on credit cards, but you still get receipts for things. And so there's not that concept of cash as much when some of us were younger. You learned all these different things, but receipts still come, whether they're emailed to you and or given to you physically at the stores and things of that nature. But show them how tax comes into play. How when you go to some of these supermarkets and other stores, there are savings that come off. If you're a member and you scan your card, there's some savings. How much did you save on the groceries? What did everything actually cost? Teach them how to compare prices when you're down the aisles in the stores and you're looking at different ingredients and different options. You can show, okay, well, this brand is selling for this much and that is selling for maybe $5 and the other one was $6 and change. Why the price difference, and explain those things. If there's some kind of advertisement, it could be on the store, it could be on a commercial, you can teach them that every advertisement has a problem statement and they have a solution. And they also want you to spend your dollars, and therefore they're advertising something to you. So break those things down. At a restaurant, they could, in terms of calculating the tip, that would be a fun one. When you go out to dinner or lunch, have them calculate the tip and see what they come up with. Don't show them the bill. Don't show them the bill until, well, you show them what it is, but ask them what they think the tip should be. And what I'm referring to is a lot of the bills now, it comes with the suggested tip, 18%, 20%, 22% is already pre-calculated at the bottom for you and letting you know what you can do. But have them try to calculate it. It helps them with their studies as well. And then in terms of what it actually costs, let them plan a family meal with a set budget, and it'll get them to understand what groceries and all of these things actually cost. Um, Ages 14 to 18, this is before adulting actually begins. And one of the things I wanted to highlight is that at this age, and at any age, at early as possible, you want to start talking about investing and things of that nature. But Charles Schwab and Fidelity, they both have youth accounts where teens can actually begin to invest. And so these are teen-owned brokerage accounts. And the teen is the legal owner and the sole investment decision maker on these particular accounts. But obviously, the parents have access to monitor the accounts. The children have access to modules where they can actually learn and things of that nature. And there's apps where they learn lessons, and there's a gamification element. There's also some level of support that's available for them. So I think that that's something that actually will get them excited, and then they can learn about this. But you want to teach them at this age about checking accounts, about investing accounts. I know some parents um, open up custodial accounts for their children, which is another type of brokerage account that the parent, though, is the owner. The child is listed on it and as a beneficiary, and they get access to the account at the age of majority. But some parents start educating their kids from very, very young and have them start picking out investments and things of that nature. But you want to teach about investing, checking accounts, debit cards, what credit cards are and how they actually impact your credit report and your credit score. This way, when they do become an adult and head off to college and things of that nature, or even younger credit cards are being offered, they understand the implications, right? What are taxes? There's a lot of adults who still don't understand the impact of taxes and how they're getting hit with taxes. And um, the earlier to start learning what taxes are, how they can set themselves up to pay the least amount of tax as possible in a legal way. This is all helpful. Um, Preparing for college, what does it mean if they have to take out student loans if they don't have a 529 account that has been set up by the parent, or other type of merit-based scholarships and things like that. These are all opportunities for learning, right? The budget fits into all of these areas in terms of how much money that they're going to need, how much it costs to even do something as simple as going grocery shopping, for instance. I was with my goddaughter this week and over the weekend, and she said that she thought her parents it came up how much they spend on groceries a month. And I asked her, what do you think your parents spend in groceries a month? And she said about $500. Now, they're a family of five. There's no way that they're spending $500 a month in groceries. And so her mom told her, she said, Auntie Chrissy, probably referring to me, probably spends that a month just on her. She's like, there's no way. So I said, look, this is a moment. I told her mom, take her with you. And she does go sometimes, but I said, show her the receipts. She needs to see the different stores you go to, and she needs to add them up and see what it really costs to run that house in a month. And that's just in groceries. Imagine if you start bringing the rest of the bills, because people who have kids know that apparently these kids, they eat a lot. And so they go through all kinds of snacks and all kinds of things. So let them know how much it costs for their snacks alone. But some fun activities you can do with them, just as a way to teach these things that we've highlighted, is building a monthly budget. Once they start making money, some of the young cousins and young children in my life, they have jobs. And so reviewing the paycheck, what does that paycheck actually entail? What's coming out? What do you get to keep? Of that, how much you should spend, how much you should save, how much you should invest. Comparing cell phone plans. I mean, most of the kids, the young adults, they literally are on their parents' plan, but at least show them all the benefits that they're getting from you guys. Because a lot of times these kids, they don't understand how fortunate that they are, and how many benefits they have. But I talked a little bit about investing already in either custodial accounts or the youth accounts Fidelity and Schwab have. But there's other apps and things like that that can be used. Stash, Robinhood. We're not actually suggesting one over the other, but we're just giving you some ideas, but explaining investing to your children. So many parents I know, they have started opening up investment accounts for their children, and the things that their kids are interested in, those are the things that they are start them investing in. So if they like Apple, for instance, Apple shares are trading about 290 in the day today, roughly like a little under $300, not 300,000, $300 for a single share and under that. And so explaining to them how much a share costs, right? Then there's fractional shares. Like, hey, you don't actually have to buy one single share. If you have $5, you can get a portion of that. But just showing them how money works and start explaining to them this is part of something called the capital markets. This is part of the economy, and this is what helps the markets work the way that they work. So, but the key concept you want to take away is that your children are not just retail buyers. They're not just purchasers, they're not just consumers, but they actually own a portion of these companies. So that mindset that, hey, I'm a owner, I own this, I have ownership over it is something that um, would be awesome to instill. So I know I talked a bit already about investing, but just a small amount, just think about what $25 a month could do, starting from age 15 to 65. So that's a period of 50 years. And literally, the earlier to get started, the better. And depending on the interest rate, so roughly if it's about a 6% rate that you're earning on average a year, it would be over $15,000. It would be 16,000 and change. So this is example that we're highlighting here is at a stated interest rate, it could be roughly 15,000, right? But there's always volatility um, over time. So there's some years that the investments will be up and some years that it will be down, but on average, right? And the key is staying invested for the long haul. And so over that time is something called compounding interest. And Albert Einstein credits it compounding interest, that is, as the eighth wonder of the world. And so it's important to teach the kids lessons such as patience and once again delayed gratification and what does it mean to be thinking about the long term versus the short term. And so this is only a basic example if the money was to stay invested over that 50-year time frame at $25 a month and would stay in that account over time. So I know I heard Mina talking earlier, some of the framing of how to talk about how to have these money conversations with children at home. So you don't want to say we can't afford that. So instead of using that statement, you can say this is not a priority right now, or that's not a priority right now. And maybe instead of completely not talking about money is start having those money conversations at the table, at the restaurant, amongst, family gatherings. And I would definitely encourage you to talk about even have top priorities for your family. So every family may have, these are the top priorities for the year and teach the kids that if the parents are modeling that kind of behavior, the kids will start emulating it and they'll come up with their top priorities for the year. And once again, it teaches, okay, that opportunity cost, right? I can't necessarily get everything, but what is it that I'm looking to achieve and to obtain throughout this year? And how can I use my earnings, maybe allowance money or saving some of it to get some of the things that I want. But if we teach kids we can't afford that, we're essentially giving them a scarcity mindset and a fear mindset, and not that whole abundance mindset and confidence in relationship to money. So hopefully we have some parents that will play this back and look at this. And maybe some of you have never said any of these things, which is great, but there are some parents who have. made some mistakes along the way. And that's most parents because you're learning as you're raising children. But one mistake is never discussing money. So we want to normalize it and talk about it and solving every financial mistake for your children. That's something people in general learn by doing. So for instance, if the child actually know that they actually purchased that game that was $25 that we were talking about, and then later on in the summer, they start having buyer's remorse because now their cousins and friends all come over, and now everyone in the neighborhood is taking their bikes out to go for a spin for a bike ride, and now they're feeling like, oh, I should have gotten that bike. So that actually is it's not for the parent to just run out and then go get the bike necessarily, because that actually is going to teach the child a bit like, you know what, next time around I'll choose differently. You don't as a parent want to use money as a punishment, and that could look like withholding money for things that the child needs because they didn't do necessarily do something, but you want to actually explain money in a positive light because if you associate it negatively, then your child can have that fear around money. Um, Learning start always begins at home, so educators are not responsible for teaching children behavior, for instance, and even to the extent they're educating your children knowledge, but then even when the kid comes home, parents reinforce it and go over homework and all these other things with your child. The schools, not all schools have a curriculum for financial literacy. So that expectation should not even be there, that the school is expected to teach that, but that it's starting at home. And hopefully, even for parents, for instance, if you feel like, hey, this information is useful, but I myself don't feel that I have the requisite tools to even educate my child, you can feel free, come on down to Total Alignment Charitable. We have a bunch of resources. Follow us on all the socials. We're on them: Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, X, YouTube, TikTok, everywhere. Follow us. Come to some of our webinars, come to some of our teachings because we will get you right and we will educate you so that you can better educate your child. But it all will start at home. And you want to focus on both saving and investing, not just only saving, because let's say you teach your child to save money and put it into their checking account, which is not going to get them any return. Or even if they put it in a high yield savings account, that's a strategy generally for maybe your emergency fund, but it's not a long term for, for your money to grow and all of these different things. And so these are things that we want to start training our children on because over time, what happens? That knowledge compounds essentially, and then they get muscles. You see these muscles here? They start to get a little bit of muscles. And it becomes muscle memory. And then before you know it, they're making financial decisions. And after that practice, it makes some level of perfect. And so we want to have set the kids up for success, right? And what does that actually look like? And they're able to create a budget, they're able to understand opportunity costs and therefore delayed gratification. They can understand investing. They can understand how to rebound or recover from a mistake. Because like, hey, I learned that lesson previously, then they'll be on to learning new lessons. They're able to make informed decisions, save for their goals, and use credit responsibly. And we're not saying that this is a 1 week lesson. No, 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 no. This is over time. And we went through the age appropriate teachings and things of that nature. And so we're going to challenge everyone to pick a family money challenge, like one action from this list for this week. Whether you want to start a save, spend, share jar, have a family money conversation, open a savings account, set a savings goal together, discuss investing at dinner, I would even suggest find an article, like something that's interesting, and it could be about a company that your child likes, and discuss that and relate it to in investing, right? Your child likes um, the company Apple. There's a whole bunch of recent news on Apple. They like the phones, they like the laptops and different things like that. You can find well, a lot of these companies are publicly traded, meaning that there's information out there, but maybe it's through an article. If you don't know where to begin, there are a lot of resources that can help you. Or you can review an advertisement and discuss the message that it has. And so we, at the end of the day, what do you really want for your child, right? Most parents, they want to raise capable children, right? They're not looking to have the richest children or the billionaire, trillionaire children or the gazillionaire children. They want their children to be able to make decisions. They want their children to be safe. They want them to be financially independent. And they want them, most importantly, what I hear from a lot of parents, I'm not a parent myself as of the moment, but they want their kids to have better than what they have. I hear that all the time from parents. I don't want them to make the same mistakes that I made. And so you can help your child avoid costly mistakes that you yourself may have made by starting to educate them and teach them right in the house, right in the backyard, right in the backyard. See that tree back there? Money doesn't grow there. No. Um, Financial literacy is not about having more money, it's about having more options. So the more you learn, and you could take this opportunity to learn with your child. Learn with your child together. There are different I think Mina, I'm sure she went through Priceless Facts About Money by Melody Hobson. Get that book. It's not just for kids. It's some information in there that adults will have a great time learning. So we thank you, we thank you, we thank you. Total Alignment Charitable, we have a bunch of resources, as I mentioned already. Please follow us. Please come out and support us with all of the workshops. We have in-person workshops, we have webinars as well, and we also have a resource library, a support finder on our website. We have a blog. You can get a bunch of information about financial literacy if you feel you are lacking that for yourself, for your family, for caregivers and things of that nature. So this is also this question and discussion. You could use this at your table this week. This could be one of your activities. Think about one money lesson you learned the hard way that you want your child to learn sooner, right? And this aligns with most parents don't want their kids to make the same mistakes that they made. So think about that as a takeaway, and that could be dialogue that you guys some a conversation. So we want to thank you. How you can stay in touch with us. I mentioned it twice, but you don't have to remember what I said. It's right here on the screen. You can follow us all these different places. You can visit our website at totalalignmentcharitable.org. If you have any questions, if you want to write us, if you want to make any comments, or you just want to send a note, it's hello@totalalignmentcharitable.org. You can send it to that email. And if you would like to give us feedback, at this time for this workshop, you can scan the QR code on the screen. It takes less than 5 minutes to complete this, guys. That's a big statement. It's quick. And then for those of you who are looking to get financial assistance, we do provide free financial plans on behalf of Total Alignment Charitable for those who qualify for those plans, depending on meeting our criteria in terms of a net worth criteria as well as an income criteria. You will be able to work with a certified financial planner or financial advisor for free who's volunteered their time. If you're interested, click the QR code here and it'll take you to the next steps. And we want to say thank you for joining.
Thank you so much, everyone. We appreciate you for joining. We appreciate you. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us. We thank you for your time, and we hope to see you at the next Total Alignment Charitable webinar. Talk to you soon. Bye, everyone.
Bye.